Hi, hello, I'm Lisa Reinheimer. I'm from Dansateliers Rotterdam in the Netherlands. We're a house for dance development and we're a producer of 3 associate artists. Um,
So please tell us, how does curating dance and financing dance works in the dance house that you work in your institution?
in my institute.
Yes, institute.
Yes. So maybe it's good to say we have different governments or like different levels of government in the Netherlands that provide funding. We have like a really big structure in the Netherlands which is called the basic infrastructure. It's directly financed by the government. And in this basic infrastructure, there's every function that needs to be there in order to have like a lively and fruitful field, which is not only for dance but for arts in general. So it's like to have like companies, but to have like production houses, to have like theaters, festivals, so everything that you need in order to have like a good field. And then this is also applied to the smaller regions, let's say the provinces in the Netherlands. So we in Rotterdam, we are funded by the city, which is the local government, and we're also funded by the national fund, but in a slightly different scheme. So for the city, we are really funded as a house for dance development, where we can really, we have the money also to support and to develop artists. And from the national fund, we produce the 3 associate artists. They're a little bit between emerging and mid-career, so they're a little bit further, and they get a structural money for 4 years, so we can really give them space and time to grow. Yeah.
And how do you have any cooperation networks such as dance platforms, or how do you cooperate with other dance centers?
In the Netherlands?
Yes.
Yes. So I mean, we're a very small country, right? So everything is quite close to each other, although like traveling an hour in the Netherlands feels very long for the people from the Netherlands. But we tour a lot in the Netherlands, so we quite know well who is there. We have some networks that we are part of in the city, which serve a little different purpose than the national networks that we're in. For instance, we are part of Moving Futures, and it's that started in 2013. We had big financial cuts in 2012, so half of the budget was cut for culture in the Netherlands. So all the dance houses that were surviving, because a lot of them didn't survive, but the houses that survived, they got together and said like, okay, we need to cooperate, we need to work together to collaborate, because there's not much resources left. I mean, for what we were used to work with. So let's work together on the visibility of the artists that we have in house, give them touring opportunities, because it was a risk to present young artists in the theater, because there's no audience for it yet, or like it needs to grow. So Moving Futures was born out of that, and now it's 6 dance houses in the Netherlands who are still like, sustaining this network. We are exchanging on organizational level, like what kind of challenges do we have, how do we get funds, or how can we maybe be more creative with that. But we're also exchanging about the bigger topics, like what kind of works are created, and how do we bring that then maybe to programmers and presenters, how can we get them like more acquainted with the new generation of dancers, and what they maybe need also for their formats of presentation. And this is like around the Netherlands, so it's in the north, in the south, in the east, and the west, so we cover the whole of the Netherlands in this network. We're also trying to like transform it a little bit. We used to have a traveling festival for these artists, between 7 and up to I think 13 cities, but it was like a lot of work to tour, to be like 3 days in the city, to really land there, have a context program around it, also invite local artists to be then on the festivals in their own cities. But now we're slightly trying to find a new format that is taking less time also. It's a lot of work, like organizing a platform. So And then in the Netherlands, it's also at networks and corporations and platforms, right? So we don't have a Dutch platform, if that's one of the questions. But we do have the Dutch Dance Festival, which is once a year in the south in October, where there's new work, so there's premieres, but also the interesting or the best shows, or it's a curatorial program of how you say it? So there's the very big companies like the National Ballet, NDT, but there's also young emerging artists or artists that are independent, artists who are working in like different environments maybe. So it's a very diverse program that they bring. It's coming contemporary dance, it's hip hop, it's socially engaged. So it's a lot of different.
And how long is this festival?
I think they adding a day each year, so it's over a week already. Yeah, it was like 3 days, but now it's I think already eight days. But they involve the city much more, so they also really invite the amateur field there and see like all the different ways of dancing and being together. Yeah.
What do you think dance theater artists, both dancers and creators and choreographers, etc., need the most currently in the Netherlands?
In terms of to create work, you mean?
Yes, to create good work.
Money.
Yeah, of course.
Space. No, what we offer the artists that we are collaborating with, it's money. It starts with money. Without it, it's really hard to work. And space, of course. So we have 2 studios, and which one is also equipped as a theater studio, so we can do small presentations and montage. Safety, I think, to experiment, to try new things, to fail in what you do, to also have a safe environment where you can just really, have the time to think, to rethink, to process, to test. What else? I think an accessibility to be generous also with the artists. Looking for the opportunities that fit their dreams and their needs, and not this is what we can offer, so you have to go with that. So I also try to find ways of like what is it that you need in order to develop your practice. And I think like money, time, and space are the most relevant. Yeah.
Do you think they should look for it in the government or somewhere else?
If I look at how we work in the house, so we develop artists, we support their development and their practice from a very early moment. So the first steps as a choreographer until almost a mid-career, so it's quite a big span of time. Ideally, we work for like 10 years with the same artist to have like a real good development. And it's very hard to find ways of like, do you use the right language, how to do an application, do you know where to find it? Very often you need a foundation to apply for money. So if you don't have a foundation, you can only apply for like really small amounts of money, but you can only work for a week. You need a tour, otherwise you don't get like the bigger funds. So how do you do that? So this is what we also then provide for the artists. We have funds ourselves, so this is what we offer them. So they have like a work budget, and then we look at different fundings, where to find that, but also how do we invest in careers that are more sustainable. What are the skills that are part of your practice that you can offer in different ways? You can teach, you can do workshops, maybe you're a facilitator. So we're really also trying to find different formats that are really connected or interconnected with your practice as an artist. But it's not only about producing the work, but also offering what is in the practice. And then as a house, what we try to see is also like how can we build a network around this artist that is more like an environment or ecology where they can sustain their practice. So what kind of partners do they need? What kind of partnerships are you building? And then there also comes like what kind of other partnerships are there, or domains or environments or contexts that you can go in that have funds and you can fund your work in a different way. So it's not cultural funding per se, or what can you sell in a way that is connected to the artistic work that you do. So not have a job in a supermarket, or not have to do, maybe if you don't want to, do commercial work. But some artists are like super fine with doing commercial work. So it's also like trying to, what is needed for your practice to make it sustainable. Yeah. And then as a house, as a house, we can also start doing that work. Like, how do you find the right network? How do you build your relationships? Because it takes a lot of time to do that. So, but we have a team in the house. They already get paid, so they can do the work. Yeah.
What are the trends that you see emerging, and what trends in creativity, in creations, do you look for?
I think there's like many different scenes in the Netherlands, and we are not at all connected to all the scenes because we can't do everything. So we, as a house, we really have a profile. So the artists who just want to create work and be in the studio, this is not the place for them to be, or it's not with us, because we really want them to open the practices and to share it with different communities, to make dance accessible for a broader group of people than just people sitting in the audience. So we really want to invite those to be part of the practices. So you need to be open for that. If you're not open for that, then there's other houses in the Netherlands that you can go to. And I think, like, art in general is like very much always reacting to the times that we are living in, or trying to imagine a new future. And I think dance is also given the opportunity to try that together, to make a new experience. How you say? No, I can't. I can't remember the word, but almost like to rehearse together a new future, like, and to get it into our bodies. So what are trends? I mean, it's very different. It's always coming from also what kind of generation are you part of? In what context were you born? What is the environment that you're living in? Do you come from a big city, or were you born in a small village? I mean, it does make a difference how you encounter the world. So that's also what we try to bring together. Like, how can we bring these different environments together, and also then see what is. I mean, dance it's the body. It's about being human. So I think this is maybe for us, it would be the stories and the practices that we are looking for, that really cultivate that. Yeah.
Okay, but for example, you're here at the Polish Dance Platform.
Yes.
What makes you more likely to work with an artist or a group? When they work, okay, there's diversity, there's the body, the humanity, but is there something else that makes you drawn more to certain artists?
For me, it's very important to have what's your language? What's your authenticity? I know it's a word like we can discuss, but like what makes you, or what is the context that you are creating from, and then what is it that you are offering to community? This is what I'm interested in, about how it's about getting connected, offering tools, how to be in this world, and how to envision the future together. How can we be together in the future? What are the challenges that are there? I mean, there's a lot happening in the world, and how can we survive that together in a way? So I would go for that. So I'm much more in the story, let's say. I'm not really interested in a certain aesthetic or a certain style, so I'm not really so in the house at Dansateliers there's many different styles that you can find, or many different aesthetics, but it's really about like what are the tools that you really bring to a community.